The Fort Pillow Massacre occurred on April 12, 1864, during the American Civil War. It took place at Fort Pillow, located on the Mississippi River in Henning, Tennessee. The massacre was a result of a Confederate attack led by Major General Nathan Bedford Forrest. Fort Pillow was manned by approximately 600 Union troops, comprising both white and African American soldiers. The Confederate forces, numbering around 1,500, launched a fierce assault on the fort. Despite attempts to surrender, the Union troops were met with brutal violence, especially targeting African American soldiers. The massacre is seen as a stark example of racial atrocities during the Civil War. Reports indicate that over 300 Union soldiers were killed, many in cold blood after surrendering. The event fueled outrage in the North and highlighted the brutal nature of the conflict. The Fort Pillow Massacre remains a significant and dark chapter in American history, illustrating the deep racial tensions and the harsh realities of war.
The Fort Pillow Massacre occurred on April 12, 1864, during the American Civil War. It took place at Fort Pillow, located on the Mississippi River in Henning, Tennessee. The massacre was a result of a Confederate attack led by Major General Nathan Bedford Forrest. Fort Pillow was manned by approximately 600 Union troops, comprising both white and African American soldiers. The Confederate forces, numbering around 1,500, launched a fierce assault on the fort. Despite attempts to surrender, the Union troops were met with brutal violence, especially targeting African American soldiers. The massacre is seen as a stark example of racial atrocities during the Civil War. Reports indicate that over 300 Union soldiers were killed, many in cold blood after surrendering. The event fueled outrage in the North and highlighted the brutal nature of the conflict. The Fort Pillow Massacre remains a significant and dark chapter in American history, illustrating the deep racial tensions and the harsh realities of war.
If you're a history buff, then you need to hear this. Nathan Bedford Forrest, ever heard of him? This Confederate general wasn't just a military mastermind, he was also a founding member of the Ku Klux Klan. From slave trader to Klan leader, Forrest's life was a dark stain on American history. His brutal tactics in the Civil War earned him the nickname Wizard of the Saddle. Want more on notorious figures like Forrest? Hit subscribe and stay tuned.
This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 10, and it reads, For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like it to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barazar from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. All right, before I get into this, I want to declare fair use, according to the Copyright Act of 1976. There's no monetization from this video. However, we did use a few YouTube shorts, and it's for fair use only, for the purpose of teaching, research, commentary, as all the things that's contained within the Copyright Act of 1976. We did put a copy of that in the front of the video, and just wanted to emphasize it here again. All right. This scripture here, this is yet another installment of our camp series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. All right. And we're going over the tumultuous history that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, who is the wicked, according to Malachi 1 and 4, the tumultuous hell he has put on Jake, since we've been under these curses under his rulership. And the dude is just bloodthirsty for no reason. Well, I mean, it is a reason. He's the wicked, and we got this. I got this article coming up called the Fort Pillow Massacre of 1864. This is a part of the Civil War. And, you saw the video of give you a summary of what was going on. And Esau is just a ruthless individual. He is doing his job of being wicked, bloodthirsty, murderous, theft, stealing, killing, you know. That's all this man lives for. He has an insatiable thirst for blood, especially Jake's blood. All right. So let me go ahead and get into this article. It's from one of our sites that we typically like to use called blackpass.org. I'll put a link to this article in the description box of the video. All right. And it says, reads, on April 12, 1864, some 3,000 rebels under the command of Nathan Bedford Forrest overran Fort Pillow, a former Confederate stronghold situated on the bluff of the Tennessee bank of the Mississippi, some 40 miles north of Memphis. And as you saw at the beginning of this video, this same Nathan Bedford Forrest was one of the founders of the Ku Klux Klan. All right. Says the garrison consisted of about 600 Union soldiers, roughly even divided between runaway slaves turned artillerists from nearby Tennessee communities, from white Southern Unionist cavalry, mostly from East Tennessee. And, we thought the Union soldiers, don't think they were good too, because we did a video earlier in this series. Esau is Esau, Union or Confederate. And I say that because it was Union soldiers that responsible for what's called the Devil's Punch Bowl. They put Union soldiers who put Jake back into captivity. All right, and a lot of them died there. But you can look that up on your own. The Devil's Punch Bowl in Natchez, Mississippi. All right. It says, under a flag of truce, which his men violated by creeping up on the fort, Forrest demanded the garrison surrender, threatening that if it refused, he would not be responsible for the actions of his men. Believing Forrest was bluffing, Bradford refused, whereupon the Confederates swarmed over the parapet. The overwhelmed garrison fled down the bluff to the river, where they were caught in a deadly crossfire. Forrest's men continued to shoot well after the Federals had thrown down their weapons, and many men were killed in the hospital tents or as they begged for mercy. By the next morning, only about 65 blacks had survived the massacre and had continued intermittently throughout the night. More than 70% of white survivors would perish in rebel prisons. The Confederates lost about 18 killed. And, this is one of those situations, this is about the Civil War, about the release of the slaves. The rebels wanted to continue to have slaves. The Union, supposedly fought against it. All right. But, we know how that goes. It was the government who actually profited off of that via the 13th Amendment. Okay. So, Esau is always going to benefit for something that appears to benefit Jake. He's always going to get a large cut of it, and he's still getting that today. All right. But yeah, they knocked off a lot of their own. A lot of their own men got knocked off in this process. They did surrender, but it didn't matter to them. This is Sirach. Or Ecclesiasticus chapter 14, verse 5. And it reads, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. And yeah, his own people, the way they saw it was, hey, you one of those nigger lovers. Okay, so we take you out too. So that being the case, how he felt about Jake. If he's not good to his own men, his own nation, He's definitely not going to be good to Jake, and we see that today. They will turn on you in a minute. He says, he shall not take pleasure in his goods. Hey, the guy surrendered, but that wasn't good enough. All right. He had to take him out. He murdered him. All right. Back to the article. It says, Northern radicals seized on the massacre to inflame a wavering northern public. Though Forrest initially described the river as dyed with the blood of the slaughter for 200 yards, and his field commander bragged that his men had taught the mongrel garrison a memorable lesson, Forrest and his staff later either denied there was a massacre or blamed it on the garrison itself. And who was the mongrels? Jake, as you saw in those videos, there's a lot of Jakes who died in that, that's who he's talking about when he says mongrel garrison, okay? Because it was the mostly Jakes in that garrison, So yeah, he blamed it on them. This is Book of Psalms, chapter 10, verse 5. It says, his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. All right. So these were his enemies, and this guy, this Esau Edom does not believe the true Edomite that does not believe in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They will quickly say that they are so-called Christian, but will kill you in a heartbeat. All right. That have no clue of what thou shalt not kill means, especially when it comes to Jake. All right. And he does not feel that he will get a judgment for this. All right. Verse 6, he says, he hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. And you can that was evident in how they played the situation. First it was a massacre, no it wasn't. And now it is whatever I say it is. He didn't care. All right. He didn't care and didn't think he was going to get in trouble for it. And I don't believe he ever did. Go back to the article. It says, the Fort Pillow affair became a target of Southern revisionists, and many reference work balked at deeming the battle a massacre. So they're going to hide it, lie against it, say it didn't happen. That's what he does, and you see that now, what he saw. I just came across 4 articles where the new president, what did they do? They scrubbed away names of people who were not Edomites from the NASA Museum that had hell of a contributions. NSA, all right, and other places. Just a lot of stuff going on. They will deny everything, denying the truth, always. All right. It says the Fort Pillow affair became a target of Southern revisionists, and many reference works balk at deeming the battle a massacre. But recent accounts drawn from primary sources conclude emphatically that a massacre did indeed transpire, and that Forrest field officers did little to stop it, for which Forrest himself bears the ultimate responsibility. But yeah, he bears responsibility, but nothing happened. Nothing happened because of his pride. This is the Book of Psalms, (73) 5. And it reads, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. All right, so throughout this whole series, of for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, none of them have ever been held accountable, you know, for the tragedies committed against Jake. And if they were, it was only for a little while, you know. They were later released. All right. It says, therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment. And, you know, when they don't feel that they can be touched, you know, they just continue to do wickedness, you know, continue. And that's that wickedness of Esau Edom. I think it's when you go back, you know, we always talk about how Esau is Cain, you know, in the reincarnation. You know, one of Cain's descendants said the same thing. You know, let me go and get that. I think that's in Genesis 4. Verse 25. No, I said, let's see, Lamech. No, that's not it. Let me see. Cain 7. I used to remember that, Salakia. Yeah, okay, Genesis 4 and 15. Nope, that's not it. Salakia. Oh, there we go. 4 and 24. It says, verse 24, if Cain shall be avenged, well, I'll start at 15. The point is in 15. And then it goes down to his descendant. It says, and the Lord, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh Bashem Yahushai set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. You know, and that's that, you know, we know that mark was him being stripped of his melanin. Okay. All right. But going down, when a descendant of Cain, Lamech, 24, you know, just that bloodthirsty, he says, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. So, it's, you know, going back, you know, they're not in trouble as other men. All right. But hey, you're going to have to pay for that. This is Jeremiah 30 and 16. Especially for what you did to Jake. Jeremiah 30 and 16, and it reads, therefore all that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give thee for a prey. And the number one target is going to be Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right. And they know this. They know this. That's why they're moving hastily right now, you know, about to come down hard on Jake. You know, as the scriptures say, you know, the devil knows he has but a short time. He's coming down with great wrath, you know, Revelation 12 and 12. All right. But, you know, Manifest Destiny definitely has a part 2. All right. It definitely has a part 2. And Esau Edom is going to pay. This is Ezekiel 35, 5 and 6. I'll close out with this one. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, and we know the sword was his blessing, okay, according to Genesis 27, all right, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. All right. He says, therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh our power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. All right. So after you serve your captivity, twice as long and twice as hard as what we did, this is what's going to happen to you. And that's backed up by Obadiah 1 and 18. Let me grab that. Book of Obadiah 1:18 says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. That's the southern and northern kingdom respectively coming back together. And the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai have spoken it. All right. All the stuff we're uncovering about you, and all the stuff you continue to do, and all the stuff you plan to do, you have to pay for it, and you will. Thus saith Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharallah, Abba, Shalom.